Welcome back to the BAPS Inspired series, where we try to have conversations that inspire you, whether it's professionally or in your personal lives. And today I'm actually very excited to have with me. He's not only my friend, but he's also someone I've actually been inspired by and what he does with his work on every single day basis. So this is Darshan Patel. Darshan, I know how to introduce you, but I've seen your CV. You do so many things that I'm gonna spend almost all the conversation going over your CV. But mind telling us about what you do in your professional career?
Yeah, so I do emergency management and homeland security at the local level. So I oversee emergency management operations for Wake County, North Carolina, which is the capital of North Carolina. And that encompasses everything from disaster preparedness to responding and supporting public safety partners in the field, and then also connecting the dots and bringing everybody together when we talk about things like the homeland security functions that we have to do and protecting critical infrastructure.
Now, Darshan, we've done a lot of these interviews. We have doctors, engineers, scientists, but I've never actually, this is my first time interviewing someone that's in public service. So, how did you get inspired, kind of going off the unbeaten path when it comes to people with our backgrounds?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely not as common as some of the other ones, but it happened in not such a glamorous way. It was something that kind of interested me for a long time.
Mhm.
I passed the local fire department every day driving to and from high school, and one day I literally just decided to turn in, and I just knocked on the door and sat down with the chief and just said, "What is this?" Like, I know it's a volunteer fire department, and he gave me a really good rundown of what they do, and he spent a lot of time explaining to me that, one, uh, it's very much public service focused. It's a small department, but they really have a bigger mindset, right? They wanted to train people to go on to do bigger and better things. They recognize that, the public service or public safety is not the most diverse crowd, and so he was kind of excited to have this whole conversation with me, and really that relationship drew me in. And I joined that fire department when I was in high school. I did all the training. I stayed overnight at the fire department, and that led me to a whole bunch of other public safety aspects of and where I am today now.
So, can you kind of go over okay, so if I were to call and say I have a fire,
Mhm.
you would be showing up.
Yeah, so
Like,
it
that's
was a
wild.
local fire department in
Yeah.
North Carolina. I joined it, ran fire calls, ran medical calls with them, like did the whole 9 yards,
Yeah.
and went through all the training that was required. And then as I transitioned to college,
Mm.
there was no opportunity for me to continue to do fire there. So I actually did EMS.
This is a very different path. Now,
Mhm.
how important were mentors? Because I know me when I was going through med school and everything else, it was easy to find mentors, but it was also hard to find the right mentor, like someone that would kind of really guide you with honest advice. In what you did, how important was mentorship for you,
Mhm.
or was it just you being like, all right, I walked into the firehouse, I'm going to do this now, and I'm going to do this,
I mean, I am very headstrong in that manner,
yeah.
but I had a lot of good mentors. So the fire chief I mentioned that gave me that big long explanation took a lot of time to really understand kind of what I was interested in. And so as I joined the department, he did a lot to help me kind of connect the dots and really be able to understand, what we can give back to the community, how we work with each other as responders, because that's a whole different relationship in its
Mhm.
own. Um, but also I've had mentors that made me really think about what I was doing,
Mhm.
and they were asking me if this was really the right path. There were mentors from Mundir that would ask me just to make sure, hey,
Mhm.
you really like what you're doing here? Like, is this the path you want to go down? And if it is, let's just make sure you do it right. And it was less about guiding me towards the other traditional professions, but more so to make sure that I wasn't just trying to settle into something because it seemed fun or it seemed something like that, but be able to do it the right way.
It's interesting you mentioned the Monday, right? So I had my own mentors. Some of them were Swami, some of them were people that were physicians or surgeons themselves. But what was really unique with their advice versus the guidance counselor or the mentor
Hmm.
you had in medical school or pre-med stuff is they made you think like 5 years ahead, 10 years ahead, and the broader perspective of your career choice. Which there it was just okay, you're going to do this, 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 is that. You're going to get in, think about residency, think about how much you're going to make, all this other stuff, which I thought was very unique. Now, would you say that was what differentiated what you got from there versus, like, let's say when you were talking to your fire chief or someone else?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was that broader look to say, okay, what does 5, 10 years look like? How do you excel in the education? How do you excel at the skill sets that you need to be the best, or to be able to drive, the best impact to your community? So it was, take what you're doing or take what you're interested in at this point and maximize it. And that gave me that long-term view of kind of what are the options, like where can you go with this, what other avenues are there. I never even thought about emergency management, early into my public safety career, but then I really started to lean into it, and it helped me really understand that there was a way for us to make an impact in different ways, and still be able to have, a good relationship, with traditional first responders as well.
So I live in Florida, hurricane belt. I mean, we're always getting these hurricane warnings.
Yeah.
Some are like misses, and then there's some real hurricanes that have passed through where I live. And when these alerts come up, like there's an emergency on my mind. Like we're buying water, like we're gonna have not water for a year. We're like, putting up sandbags. It's a very stressful situation for us. But I've seen you in your role, and you're on television talking about it on the back end. So in my stress, how do you stay not stressed?
I think part of it came from that mentorship.
Mhm.
I also had swamis that mentored me through career choices, through growth and development, and all that. And I think one of the things that I was able to pull from the spiritual background was, we have an opportunity to make an impact and help somebody. They're in a far more stressful situation than you are. If you've got to take a little bit on to be able to help the broader good, then that's what we have to do, right?
Mhm.
It somewhat became one of those things, like there will be an impact. Yes, we have to take care of ourselves, but what we're being able to accomplish for somebody else by bringing the right resources to the table, or helping them when the inevitable disaster happens, it that level of impact in somebody's life, I think, is what helps drive me to be able to take some of that on, and to be able to try to stay calm when I can. But it does affect every responder in different ways. But being able to see that up front was helpful.
So you have a very strong persona,
Yeah.
but there has to be one or two moments, and I hope you'll mind sharing, where
Hmm.
even you were like, you felt like broken.
Yeah.
Like, how am I going to get through this? Whether it was a personal thing or a professional thing, do you mind just sharing one of those experiences with us, and how you got through that?
Yeah. So
Assuming you got through it because you're here right now. So,
yeah. Early in my career, where I am in Wake County, I got called out on Christmas Eve to help a police department search for a missing child. We brought out all the resources. We did all of the things that we would normally do, supporting that police department, getting them the right resources, helping make sure it was a coordinated effort. And we went through all of the functions that we needed to. There was always like a feeling amongst the responders there that maybe there was some foul play involved. A few days later, we did learn that it was foul play involved. It was a young kid. It was the holiday season, and that weighed really heavily on me because I was young. I didn't have kids at the time, but it really makes you take a step back sometimes, and just like you feel different. Um, but what I had a team to lean on. I had the other responders, but I also had my mentors at Mundir. I also had, friends that could, you could talk through it with and just say, hey, this is what I'm feeling,
mhm.
and was able to do that. But, I was able to take that and eventually look back on it and say, what we did that night not only supported the people that were doing that response, um, but also made sure that the other, friends and family that that child had, found some closure. We were able to at least provide them the closure that they were looking for, but also make sure that we did what was right for the community and the family at the time.
Yeah. Fast forward to now, you do have kids.
I do.
When do you see your kids? Because beyond your daytime job and beyond your volunteer work, you are also an entrepreneur.
Hmm.
I mean, you've done a lot of work helping different companies fill in resources that they need, whether it's security or IT or whatnot. But your kids need you as well.
Hmm.
I know I struggle sometimes with my work, but how do you balance that time?
It is a bit of a struggle, but I think the balance we found is trying to be very deliberate about family time. Meaning, yes, we, wake up early, we got to get everybody out the door, we got to get to work. But when we come back from work, just putting a pause on everything for a minute. Sometimes I can, and sometimes I can't. We still rotate an on-call function, and so there is sometimes that call. We've got a alert and warning that has to go out into the community, or there's a response that needs to happen, and I've got to explain to the kids I got to step away again. But when we can, we try to make a very deliberate effort. We also try to take time off,
Mhm.
meaning that we make an effort to schedule vacations, schedule time off, or just a day where we just go to the park, just to try to be able to take a break and be able to have bonding time as a family.
Yeah. What's interesting is when my kids were young and I would have to leave the house because I got called into the ER or something, they'd be very disappointed. Now they're actually kind of proud that I'm going because now they understand better what I'm doing, who I'm helping. So they're like, "Yeah, no, it's okay. You can go if you have to miss this or whatnot." So that changes as well, which is good to see as they get older. But the balance thing is very very hard,
Yeah.
and I think it's pretty cool that you're able to balance it. You taught me something recently is how to better balance your time using different technologies. What got you interested in like using technologies to help you with your personal life?
So I've always had a hobby interest
Yeah,
in technology, and just when I was young, like we were very young
yeah,
actually, and my dad bought a computer at the
yeah.
house, and I went through it, I took it apart, and so that
Did you
helped
put it
me.
back together?
We did. It
You
didn't
did.
work. We
Oh,
had
I
to
did.
call the guy, but in that, it fostered kind of an opportunity for me to just love technology, love automation, just enjoy programming. It was a way for me to focus sometimes, but yeah, it's just been something that I love doing, and then I've been able to weave that in, not only in my public safety work, but then just be able to branch out in all aspects of things that I do. I try to find ways to maybe add technology in it. Sometimes my wife hates it when we have touch screens in the house that control the temperature and the lights and all that stuff, but I find it fascinating just to be able to say that I built that.
Yeah. So Darshan actually showed me how to plan entire vacations using AI technology, which was really really cool. But AI can also be scary. Now you
Mhm.
actually in your businesses are helping people understand AI, but I think it's scary. I think it's scary for family as well, but I think it's also very very beneficial. Where do you see AI going here in the future?
So I share the same concerns, because we're really at the beginning, right? AI in the general public is still very new. We're still learning about all the different things it can and can't do, and sometimes it makes up information. Um, but my children are still young. I think what worries me in the future is what happens as they use it, and things that, videos or cyberbullying and all that stuff does worry me to a degree, but the benefits are also significant, right? We do try to take a lot of family vacation time. AI makes it easy, right? You can learn about a place before you even get there and have a list of things to do. So there's definitely a balance there. But I sometimes try to use it in a way where I still take a step back so that I can just understand what the risks could be, whether it's in the work that I'm using it with, or just, how can it be used negatively? And sometimes that just comes from the work that I do
Yeah,
in emergency management and public safety, is we always have to sometimes consider the bad actors. But yeah, I mean, it's a fascinating technology just
yeah.
in itself.
So 10 years ago, it was social media. That was
Mhm.
the bad actor, right? And all the distractions that come with it. For me, I think I've been avoided some of the pains that come or the distractions that come with social media because my faith has kept me grounded. I think when it comes to faith and also AI, I think it may play a role as well in kind of keeping you grounded and not being, taken off into like this dark hole when it
Mhm.
comes to what AI can do for you in a bad way. So I want to hear your thoughts on that because you know way more about this stuff than I do. I barely know how to plan a vacation or use it. Like you know the inner workings of where it's going. But how important is our spirituality going to be, or our faith going to be?
I think that's going to be a huge part of it, because I think we also still have to keep the human aspect of it, right? It's a technology. It can provide a lot of support. It can also do a lot of negative things, without the right guardrails. But if you take our spirituality and our humanity out of it, I think it creates more of an opportunity for using it for negative things. Um, I think if we can try to find the right use cases, some of that is balanced on that humanity and spirituality, or maybe just being able to learn a little bit more about the history and the faith and the things that we were, you know, that we grew up with, those thoughts, the concepts and things. Because I've used it for that, and I think that's been helpful for me because I now have two young kids where I have to explain why do we do this, or why do we believe in these things, or where did this story come from. And AI has helped me at least look through research and look through information to be able to help kind of bridge that gap of
Mhm.
spirituality and
Yeah,
technology.
I was hoping you would say the BAPS Better Living platforms.
That too. They're too young for that, but yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of resources out there. Um, so tell us about your faith. Like, how important is it not just to keep you away from AI or distractions, but what role does it play on a day-to-day basis for you?
It plays a huge role for me. I grew up in a very spiritual family.
Mhm.
We went to Mandir growing up, but not only did the mentors, but all of the teachings that I got from Mandir have driven me to do what I do in public safety. But I think for me, it's always been a big part of my life, and it has helped me drive to do more and more as much as I can.
Mhm. So Darshan, final thoughts. You always have a lot of stuff to say, but you don't right now because
I don't know. I think we talked about a lot of cool stuff.
yeah.
I mean, I think this is a great conversation. I think being able to bridge sometimes just what we do day to day in the workplace. Sometimes we forget about bridging that gap to spirituality, humanity, and all the things that we may have learned or been a part of, and just how that brings that back. So it gave me a second of pause just to think about like all the different things that I had just like were swirling in my head about things my parents may have told me that brought me to where I am,
Yeah.
or all of the different pieces and parts, all the people that have played a part in life to get us to do all these things that we do.
So I have one more question for
Okay.
you. So what are the top three things you would tell a young kid right now that's going to college?
I think one is lean on your peers, lean on the people that have made a difference in your life. That has been very helpful to me. There have been a lot of good mentors, as we talked about. Lean into the spirituality that you have in whatever level at which you have it, because I think that can help you keep you grounded in anything that you do, and have fun. Everything that we do, all the people we meet, all the people we see, I think just being able to connect with each other, have fun, be able to have conversations like this and joke with each other is
Yeah.
just is really the essence of what it's all about.
Darshan, it was fun having you on our Inspired series.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, and hope you'll tune in next time for our BAPS Inspired series. Thank you.